Did you know that most people only retain about 10% of what they read or hear? That's right, only 10%. But imagine if you could remember 90% of what you learn. What if there was a simple technique to help you do that? Well, there is, and it's called the Feynman Technique. Named after the famous physicist Richard Feynman, this method can supercharge your ability to learn faster and more effectively. In this video, you'll discover how to use this powerful technique to master any skill, whether it's a technical ability, leadership trait, or any other skill you need to move up in your career. Stick around, because in the next few chapters, you'll learn how to apply this method and boost your career with sharper, faster learning. Let's dive in. Chapter 1: Unlock your brain's potential. The Feynman advantage. Learning faster is something we all crave, especially when we're trying to level up in our careers. So, how do we unlock that potential? One answer lies in the Feynman Technique, a method named after physicist Richard Feynman. Feynman didn't just excel in physics, he had an incredible ability to make complex concepts simple. He once said, "If you can't explain something to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself." This mindset is key to the Feynman Technique. It's about stripping down complicated ideas and teaching them in simple terms. The core of the Feynman Technique revolves around understanding by teaching. You start by learning something new. Then, you try to explain it as if you're teaching it to someone else who knows nothing about it. This process helps you spot gaps in your knowledge, and by filling those gaps, you understand the material on a deeper level. Research shows that this approach works. A study from the University of California found that people who teach what they've learned retain 90% of the information, compared to just 50% when they read or hear about it. Imagine how much faster you could advance in your career if you could absorb and retain knowledge like that. By simplifying things, you're also making them stick. The brain processes simple concepts more easily, so when you break down complex information, it creates stronger connections. Feynman's technique helps you build those connections faster, enabling you to master new skills for work or personal growth. In your career, this translates into becoming a more efficient learner. When you can explain a concept in simple terms, you've truly mastered it. This is an essential skill in any job, especially when you need to communicate complex ideas to clients, coworkers, or even a team. Chapter 2: The Power of Simplicity. Master anything by teaching it. Simplification is powerful. It's easy to think that mastering a skill requires memorizing huge amounts of information or studying for long hours. But Feynman's approach shows that simplifying ideas is the shortcut to true mastery. The key here is teaching. The Feynman Technique is all about trying to explain what you've learned to someone else. When you try to explain a concept, you quickly realize if you don't fully understand it. This creates an opportunity to fill in the gaps and understand the subject on a deeper level. But what's the science behind this? The act of simplifying and teaching forces your brain to process the material differently. It's like exercising a muscle. The more you practice, the stronger it gets. The more you simplify and explain things, the clearer they become in your mind. Imagine trying to explain a complex work project to a friend or colleague who doesn't know much about the subject. When you break it down, you not only simplify your understanding, but you're also practicing how to communicate clearly. Communication is crucial in career advancement. If you can explain things in simple terms, you'll be seen as a go-to expert, someone others can rely on for clarity. Additionally, studies show that teaching leads to better retention. According to research from the National Training Laboratories, people retain about 90% of what they teach, compared to just 70% when discussing or reading. This emphasizes the power of teaching and reinforcing what you learn. In your career, becoming the teacher will give you an edge. When you can teach others what you know, it boosts your confidence, improves your communication skills, and sets you up as a leader. Mastering this simple art can make you the expert in any area, from technical skills to leadership techniques. Chapter 3: Think like Feynman. Embrace the I don't know moment. One of the most powerful ideas in Feynman's approach is embracing what you don't know. Most people shy away from admitting they don't have all the answers, especially in the workplace. But Feynman understood that not knowing something was the first step in truly understanding it. In his own words, "What I cannot create, I do not understand." This quote sums up his approach to learning. He wasn't afraid to admit when something didn't make sense to him. Instead of brushing it off, he took it as an opportunity to dive deeper. This mindset is liberating. When you acknowledge that you don't know something, you open the door to real growth. In the professional world, this is especially important. No one expects you to know everything, but they do expect you to be able to learn and grow. By admitting when you don't understand something, you become more resourceful, better able to solve problems, and quicker to fill knowledge gaps. Feynman's technique involves actively seeking out those I don't know moments. Every time you encounter a gap in your knowledge, it's a signal to explore further. This is not just an academic approach, it's a career strategy. Whether you're learning a new software, a business concept, or leadership skills, facing the unknown head-on accelerates your learning. Embracing the unknown also helps reduce the fear of failure. Failing or not understanding something isn't a setback, it's part of the process. In fact, a study from the Harvard Business Review shows that people who embrace challenges and learn from their mistakes are more likely to be successful in their careers. Incorporating this mindset into your daily life can give you a huge advantage. Instead of avoiding challenges, face them with curiosity. Ask questions, seek answers, and be open to learning. This strategy will help you grow faster than someone who tries to pretend they already know everything. By applying the Feynman technique and embracing the I don't know moment, you become an adaptable, continuous learner. This is crucial for career advancement because the ability to pick up new skills quickly and efficiently is a trait valued in any professional environment. Subscribe now. If you're finding these strategies helpful, hit that subscribe button for more tips on mastering the Feynman technique and advancing your career. Chapter 4, The Feynman Feedback Loop. Perfect your knowledge through active recall. One of the most powerful ways to speed up your learning is through a strategy known as active recall. This is a key component of the Feynman technique, and it's all about testing yourself on the material you're learning. By forcing your brain to retrieve information from memory, you reinforce your understanding and improve retention. Research backs this up. A study from the University of Virginia showed that people who used active recall during learning retained 50% more information than those who simply reviewed notes. This means that instead of passively reading or rewatching videos, actively quizzing yourself helps solidify your knowledge and makes it stick for longer. The Feynman technique utilizes this principle by encouraging you to teach and explain what you've learned. After you've studied a topic, take a step back and attempt to explain it as simply as possible. If you get stuck or realize there's something you don't fully understand, that's your cue to dive deeper into the material. This process of self-testing not only strengthens your memory but also ensures that you've truly grasped the concept. Let's look at how this can work in a career context. Let's say you've just attended a work seminar on new software. Instead of merely reviewing your notes, try teaching the software to a friend or colleague. If you struggle to explain a feature clearly, that's your chance to revisit the software and solidify your understanding. This active engagement with the material will make you more efficient at using the software in your job. Feynman's method doesn't just apply to technical knowledge, it can be used to sharpen any skill. Whether it's leadership, negotiation, or communication, actively recalling and teaching those skills helps refine them. The more you actively recall and teach, the faster you'll progress in your career. The feedback loop built into the Feynman technique helps you refine your knowledge over time. When you face areas where you're lacking, you go back, fix the gap, and then retest yourself. This iterative process leads to mastery. And mastery in any skill is a surefire way to advance in your career. Chapter 5, The Art of Teaching. Transform yourself into an expert fast. One of the most surprising benefits of the Feynman technique is that it turns you into an expert faster. The method is simple: teach what you've learned. By explaining complex topics in simple language, you solidify your understanding and start thinking like an expert. Why does this work so well? When you teach, you can't rely on jargon or shortcuts. You need to break things down and make them accessible. This forces you to understand the material from all angles. Feynman himself said, "If you want to master something, teach it." And research supports this. According to the learning pyramid, teaching others helps people retain as much as 90% of what they've learned, far more than passive learning methods like reading or watching videos. Teaching isn't just about communicating knowledge, it's also about mastering the art of communication. This skill is invaluable in any career. Whether you're leading a team, giving a presentation, or simply explaining a concept to a coworker, being able to break down complex ideas is essential. The Feynman technique trains you to do this with ease. In the workplace, teaching what you've learned doesn't mean you have to be in a formal position of authority. You can start by helping a colleague understand a process or giving a mini presentation during a meeting. This positions you as a leader, even if you're not officially in charge. It also shows that you're confident in your knowledge and willing to share it. The act of teaching forces you to confront your weaknesses. If you're struggling to explain something clearly, that's a sign that you need to understand it better. Instead of getting frustrated, use this as a learning opportunity. In fact, a 2016 study from the journal Cognition found that teaching others can help you identify and address gaps in your own knowledge, leading to faster and deeper learning. As you continue teaching, you'll find yourself learning more and more. The knowledge you teach becomes ingrained in your mind. In a work environment, this skill sets you apart as someone who can not only perform tasks but also explain them clearly to others. It's this ability to convey complex information in a simple way that makes you an expert and positions you for career advancement. Subscribe for more tips. If you want more practical ways to use the Feynman technique to boost your career, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for the next chapter. Chapter 6, Real-World Example, Feynman in Action for Career Success. Now that we've explored the key strategies behind the Feynman technique, let's see how this method can play out in real life. Imagine you're a mid-level manager in your company, and you want to level up your leadership skills. You could start by applying the Feynman technique to leadership principles. Let's say you're learning about time management, a crucial leadership skill. Instead of simply reading a book on the topic, try to explain time management to someone else. Teach them how to prioritize tasks, set goals, and avoid distractions. If you find that you're unable to explain a part of the process clearly, that's your cue to go back to the drawing board and learn more. As you refine your understanding and ability to teach others, you become more confident in your time management skills. In turn, you begin to implement these strategies at work. The more effective you become at managing your own time, the more your team will take notice. They'll start asking you for advice, and you'll be seen as a knowledgeable leader. Let's look at another example. Suppose you want to improve your negotiation skills. Using the Feynman technique, you could study the principles of successful negotiation, then explain them to a friend or colleague. This not only reinforces your understanding but also allows you to practice articulating the techniques clearly. When the next negotiation opportunity comes up at work, you'll be much better prepared. A real-world application of the Feynman technique can be seen in tech industries, where engineers often use the method to learn new programming languages. One software engineer, for example, used the Feynman technique to quickly master Python. After studying the basics, he explained them to a colleague who was a beginner. This teaching process highlighted areas where he needed more clarity, and by filling those gaps, he became proficient enough to apply the language in real projects. Using the Feynman technique not only helps you learn faster, but it also builds a reputation for being someone who can master new skills quickly. Whether you're mastering a new software tool, leadership technique, or negotiation strategy, the ability to learn and teach what you've learned will make you stand out in your career. In today's competitive job market, being able to acquire new skills quickly and effectively is a major asset. By applying the Feynman technique, you're positioning yourself as a fast learner, a problem solver, and a leader. These are the qualities that lead to career success, and they're within your reach when you use this powerful learning method.